Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to our farm and our house build in progress, Cornucopia Orchards.
We're gonna get the paint sprayer going here. It's priming right now. We're gonna be painting the second floor today. Probably won't have time for the attic, but that's okay. At least one of them will be done.
Went ahead and took some extra precautions around my not that great idea with this masking film that I thought was gonna stick because it seemed like it was just clinging to the window. It did not. So you can see we've reinforced to make sure we don't get paint on our windowsills. You may ask why the second floor and not the attic first? Well, because today is 105 degrees. We're not quite there yet, but we're already over 100, so that's really exciting. And hopefully the hottest day of the year, fingers crossed, and knock on some wood here, but it does not get any hotter than this the rest of the year. We'll see, it could. It certainly wouldn't be the way it's supposed to be, but. So we used Sherwin drywall PVA primer, and now we're using Infinity, which is their highest grade interior paint, which just a variety of reasons. We just don't want to be doing this anytime soon. And I just put some on in the closet behind me back there, and boy is it drying fast. The upper range is 90 or so degrees, and inside the house it's probably mid 80s right now. So that's why we're not doing the attic in part. And I'm trying to get the second floor done, whip it out real fast, and we may end up not being able to backroll. We're gonna find out. I'd like to backroll, and we'll just see. It's going on pretty nice though. Well, we are backrolling, but we're having to do it real fast. Good thing Casey's like lightning, because it's drying quick. We do want that texture. We're probably going much thicker than we need to, but good news is it will absolutely be one coat coverage with the amount of primer plus paint that we're putting on. All right, so we are feeling really good about this first coat coverage. Very little in the way of, mistakes that are coming through in the coverage. And I mean, we did make mistakes in the wall, but it's a little bit different than the drywall primer was. It's got a nice little shine to it. Hard to get that on the film. So we're done, except for the stairs, the hall. I realized that I've been like, oh, Casey, let's just do the ceilings in these two little rooms, because she had her pole on the roller. And then we forgot to come back in and do this one. So Casey is finishing out the roll. You can see we just put on some extra and then roll the texture, which is really kind of almost required if we want there to be a texture with how fast this is drying. Outside, it's 100 degrees. On the second floor here, it's less, but probably about max of 90. Also, I've started to prematurely, white and gray a little bit around the edges. So I guess it's not long till Santa Claus time for me. This really, hopefully, kind of captures the lighting in here a little better. I'm gonna try and play with this so you can see it. See if I can dial it up just a hair for the exposure setting. White balance, what colors can make this? Oh gosh, nope, not helpful at all. There, that's catching it pretty well. Nice shine to this walls, not overstated, really just about what you would want, I think. And it's gonna be really nice. We're really pleased with how this is coming out. I'll try and grab some of that and show you just that fine texture again.
I'm noticing this wall a lot less now that it's dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like I really don't have much of a year, but on the other hand, I want to be massively shinier than.
Says,
I'm touching it now.
still wet. No, it's not. It's still wet. No, it's not. But it's still wet. The pen is blue.
We are painting the hole, so.
Well, I was just gonna say, hard to do a full stroke on that thing. But it looks like you got it figured out.
I was gonna use this for the upper parts.
Watch the downstroke.
Yeah, I know.
In my height.
I do. You saw it from all the way back there, didn't
Big fat milky poopy.
you? Yeah. Neathy gloopy poopies on our hallway ceiling.
Get off my finger! So we've been running these two pans, one for the 18-inch and one for the regular 12-inch, or whatever that is, 8-inch, 10-inch, I can't remember. And Casey was just saying next time she'd run just the one big pan, and then we've got two rollers. We just use the one pan, save some paint. Good idea. There's a lot of things that I can't do with my kids just because, you need to be able to keep an ear open and an eye out, and especially when they're young. My kids are pretty young. They've grown up quite a bit in the 2 or 2.5 years that we've been working on this house, depending on whether you count the time that the concrete contractor for the foundation ate up. But we've come a long way in their ability to listen and to be, happy playing nearby. And so I can get a lot of these little tasks done on the days when I've got the boys in between taking care of them and playing with them. And that's really helping to move us forward. And, I just try and get something done every single day. And major projects come, of course, when I have a solid chunk of time to dedicate. But this is the sort of thing that I can do at any time, just a few outlets here and there. And really that's all that my carpal tunnel will allow for, this kind of twisting motion, and that's good enough for me. We just got to keep pushing through as much as we possibly can every week to get this done. So I think I like vertical better. I don't know, what do you think? Vertical? Horizontal? vertical. So they say a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of a small mind, but I don't think it's a foolish consistency. It certainly makes things easy for me now and in the future. Any problems, and I can easily trace it. As I'm working through these plugs and switches and getting the plates on and everything in preparation of having this electrically complete on the second floor at least, which is something. I'm looking at what I had done before and appreciating the fact that it's all very consistent. The inspector didn't much care for these little tags. He suggested I just take them out and just have these made up, but I ignored that part and they still passed me. So this is all just gonna get, connected in here into standard plug. And one of the things that I've done here just ahead of time is I like to have the load come in on the right. That's what's coming out, power coming out off of the plug to the next plug. And the line, which you can see that's gotten some paint on it, so you wouldn't be able to tell necessarily, on the left. And that's very consistent in all these plugs in here. Haven't done that perfectly everywhere else, but I always put line on the top. So line goes on the top. So this one and this top one here, when you're looking at it, and then load goes on the bottom. And I just think that makes it super easy to troubleshoot, super easy to, put this all together. Very simple. So, Paulownia update. We're at about 4 feet of growth so far this year. If you look close, you can kind of see green starts somewhere right in there. That's the new growth. And heading on up. I'm expecting probably put on a total of 12 feet maybe. Could be as much as 15. Seems to be doing quite well. It definitely doesn't mind the heat. Not at all. It does need water. We have been watering it pretty well, and it's growing just fine under those conditions. We don't have a very sandy soil here. We have a fairly, loamy, organic and clay soil, and it does just fine under those conditions for sure. Madrone is excellent firewood, but I really like it as a tree. It's very pretty. It provides some food for the birds in the wintertime, and it's not a tree that hogs the sunlight and shades everything out below it. So I really like it quite a bit. We'll probably put some more madrone in, either propagated via cuttings or maybe harvesting the berries. And definitely we'll have some more of that here. Boys are downstairs, and today I'm doing some more electrical. I don't know how much I'll get done, but we're working on it. And I've got an interesting fixture and just some good things about it that I wanted to share. Starting with price. So this is like a 12-buck fixture for a light. It's quite handsome, I think. We're looking for something that kind of just disappeared, and it does that. So we have this hall that has sconces, 1, 2, 3, and then stair light. And the reason we went with hall light with sconces wasn't really mood so much as overhead we have a change. So there's 24-inch joists out there for the floor above, and then in here there's beam, and then there's 2 that are like kind of right where we couldn't line it up, and I didn't like that. So we went with some wall sconces, and I'm about to install this one. But I wanted to show you this. This is my favorite thing about these so far, other than price. So you've got, oh, we got an extra here, I think. Let's see what this is here. Okay, so we've got our hardware and bonus, more hardware. So here's the bottom piece and the screw that holds all of it together. Packing material. Unfortunate that it is what it is. This is my favorite part. I'm going to gingerly set this shade aside. And then, look at this bag. This bag is perfect. It's just, I love this part. This is my favorite part. All of my garbage fits right in here into this bag, except for the ones that are going to stay on my fingers. Nice and easy. I love it. So first thing I've got to do is, this wire was real short. So this is the middle of the 3 lights, and therefore it's got, you know, 2 wires, one coming, one going. And my ground wire got cut really short, but I can fix that quite easily by just putting on a greenie, like this was a plug box or something, and I was gonna pigtail this to go around a screw. Now it's not what we're doing here, but this is an easy fix. But make sure you have a solid connection between those 2 wires. Black with some white paint because our walls are white, and actually white. So the next thing we got to look at is, here's our mounting plate. This one has a mounting plate that it comes with, and our holes are aligned like this. And so we're picking to punch this hole and this slat, and that should give us what we need to be able to secure it to the wall. And I found that I can hand punch the long one, but I was having trouble earlier, we'll see if I can do it this time, getting the aim necessary and the force at the same time to hand punch the short one. I'm gonna just go ahead and guess no is the answer to that. Let's find out. Ooh, I think I might have popped it out enough. Now we can use this dingly dangly here to get us started. Okay. So once that's done, everything just goes back here into the box. I'm gonna put the ground kind of on the bottom out of the way, not near the other ones. We're ready to go here. Okay. It's gonna sit about like that. Okay, we're not gonna get started. We're gonna throw that first screw on the ground as a warning. Too far? Not quite. Nope, going out. Looks like this is max 100 watt. I don't know if we want to go max or if we want to go less. Have to ask Casey. Okay, so this thing's gonna go under and just be up against it nice and tight. And this guy's gonna go on underneath it like that. And that does not look like I got that vertical to me. Probably have to come back to that. Oh. There he is. That's much better. Perfect. Hinged in there by this guy against that plate. Super simple installation. It's a nice oil rub bronze color, this one that we picked. Sometimes they're just glossy black. instead of matte black. I don't like that. But this has got some bronzy tones throughout, and instead of the other way they oftentimes do it, which is not my favorite either, is you can just see bronze on the edge. And this, I think, looks much better. I've got a return I'm installing, just the grill. Everything else is already done on this, other than hooking it into the mechanical closet. And you want to just buy, this is your rough measure. You want to buy that same nominal, and it's going to fit you about right. Just for looks, I'm going to put a level on it. Make sure that the top is about right. Before I start to install, we've got 2 very long screws to make sure you're sunk well into framing and it stays. Realistically, I don't know if that's necessary, but there's that guy. And I've got the grills facing downward. This is a return. I want it to pull from low, even though this is the 2nd floor. It will help pull some of the air that's needed to make sure that the master is properly ventilated. And it'll encourage a little flow out of this room as well. I'm going to leave the gap on the bottom of these doors, but the master suite is large enough that that gap is not enough by itself. So I do have a return vent in the master as well, but it is undersized. So here's an easy and a fun one. We ran Cat 6 data cables, Ethernet cables, in pretty much every bedroom, office area that we're going to have to our entertainment center, and up to the attic. So there's a lot of spots where a person can plug in, and it's just, if you're built, it doesn't take much more money. Just go ahead and do it. And especially when it's super easy like this. So I had a big spool left over from the last house we lived in. And it's obviously doesn't have the finished ends to it. But I also had from multiple LAN parties, which I'm not going to need as many of these cables anymore now that we're going to have these rooms this way. I've also had a whole bunch of cables that were pretty long, 50 foot or I think 175 foot, and a bunch of 25s, 30s. And so wherever it made sense for me to run these with this already going in, I just went ahead and did it. And that lets me make this part of the process super easy. This is a fixture here that has a plug on the back. We're just going to put it in the same way we're done. All right, up here in the master suite, and I'm pushing through and got most everything done that I can right now. I don't want to start on any of the mudding on the first floor that we still have to do because it's too big of a project. So I'm going to start prepping for potentially our first hardwood floor install. The temperature is high and the humidity is relatively consistent, and it will stay that way for probably the next month and a half. By and large, between 50 and maybe 70% humidity here in the valley. It's typically on the lower end of that, and with it being that range and relatively stable, it's time to go ahead and acclimate the flooring that we're going to be installing first. This is flooring that we had purchased from someone else who had bought too much and decided to sell the remainder. And so we're going to open up some boxes, get them stacked, and let them breathe. This is the one that he had that was a partial. And these are random lengths. So I'm just going to go ahead and set them over here on this end, because chances are very high that I'm going to flow from that end this way, flow from the hall out to here. I think that's the smart way to approach this, and just makes sense to me. And technically speaking, that is correct from a standpoint of the joists run this way, and the floor material that covers it, the subfloor, runs this way. And if you have a broad space in between more than 16-inch on centers, even in a modern house, you're going to get some of this kind of thing going on, and you want the flooring to help reinforce versus to go like this over time. if you're doing a nail down, and we are doing a nail down or glue down. And so we're gonna run it this way, I think. The room is long enough, it's a fairly large room, one of the larger ones in our house, but I think that also makes sense from the standpoint of how it's gonna look. Casey's gonna be working tomorrow, so I'll try and get up into here with the boys, and I'll see if I can't get the lights all installed on the second floor, switches, plugs, that kind of thing. That's just a first step, but it'll really help on the way to making it feel like it's done.
Yeah.
And then of course we've got flooring and cabinetry to move up here, but once we start in on this last few steps,
It's gonna be a lot of fun. The boys are gonna get so excited when they see us gonna be like cabinets and
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for watching.
see you next time.
Hope you have a great rest of your day.